You observe the faces of the other hopefuls around you. Young couples starting out, their expressions a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Everyone is vying for the same very limited, often inadequate space. It's a visceral, uncomfortable reminder of the sheer scale of the demand.
If you are fortunate, you might secure an invitation to a viewing. The reality of these occasions is often a stark contrast to any lingering hope. Crowded open houses are now the norm. It can feel less like viewing a potential home and more like being part of a herd of cattle, gently but firmly guided through a confined space.
Then, the careful crafting of the perfect introductory message. And then, the waiting game. The small chance of success weighed against the overwhelming probability of yet more silence, or another polite but firm rejection.
Can I really make this work financially?
Then comes the meticulous scrutiny of every available detail.
Sometimes, amidst the digital noise, a brief flicker of possibility emerges.
More often than not, they are met with deafening silence. Viewing slots full, application pending, property let. Because in this market, speed is apparently everything.
It's a quiet, exhausting battle that many are slowly losing.
An endless scroll through countless listings. It's a digital landscape of manufactured hope, yet it so often leads to very real, very human despair. There's a growing sense that the city is booming for a select few, while leaving many behind. The dream of a decent home feels increasingly distant. This is starkly juxtaposed with cramped living conditions and long commutes. There's a profound sense of being unsettled, unable to truly relax. The city skyline glitters with luxury developments, but who are these buildings for? Many apartments remain empty, not intended for ordinary working people.
The impact on mental well-being is undeniable. Stress and anxiety become constant companions, making it difficult to plan for the future.
This struggle erodes a fundamental human need, stability and security. Short-term tenancy agreements and the fear of eviction loom large.
This forces difficult choices, rent or essentials. The constant anxiety about expenses becomes a heavy weight.
The power imbalance favors landlords, leaving tenants vulnerable. The numbers don't add up. Rent consumes an ever larger slice of income. Salaries stagnate while housing costs climb.
There's a disjuncture between online images and grim reality. It's difficult to imagine building a life in such a pressured encounter.
Leaving a sense of deflation. You were one of many, a face in a fleeting crowd. Did you make an impression? Probably not. It feels impersonal, the emotional energy expended. For a brief sterile walkthrough. The journey home is quiet, filled with doubt and weariness. The search continues relentlessly.
You try to ask a quick question. Sometimes you get a brief answer. Often just a hurried nod.
Inside it is often a blur. A quick shuffle through rooms. The agent is polite but rushed. So many more are waiting. Hard to really see the space, to check for damp or disrepair. Is this a home or a holding cell?
Young couples, new families, students with worried eyes, all sharing the same quiet desperation, a silent, crowded contest for a place to simply live. The air is thick with unspoken need.
You arrive, the scene is familiar. A long queue snakes outside, rain or shine, people wait, faces etched with tired hope.
You meticulously prepare your papers, proof of income, references gathered, each document a silent plea, hoping this time will be different.
A notification pings. Good news, you have secured a viewing slot. A tiny spark of hope ignites, but anxiety quickly follows. Is this the magical one, or just another false dawn?
Or you lose out, yet again. Despite stretching your finances thin, the disappointment is a bitter pill, leaving you feeling defeated, and the housing market more brutal.
Sometimes you might win, if you can call it that. Securing the keys, but at what cost? The rent now painfully higher, a constant source of new stress.
We've had a lot of interest, several strong offers already. These phrases hang in the air, encouraging the silent auction. Desperation drives people forward, to offer more than they can afford, pushing budgets to breaking point, for a chance at some stability.
Agents sometimes fuel this fire, a subtle hint, a knowing look.
The pressure mounts instantly. You know others will offer more. A chilling, unspoken understanding. How much above the listed price? That is the silent, anxious question. Do you offer an extra 50, or perhaps 100 more? Some whisper of paying months up front, 6 months, even a year. Just to stand out from the pack. It feels wrong, deeply unfair. A basic need, a human right, transformed into a high-stakes gamble.
The asking price is just a start. A new worrying trend emerges. Rental bidding wars, unbelievable. What used to be for auctions, or for wealthy collectors' items, is now for a basic flat. A simple 2-bedroom apartment.
The dream of a stable future fades. Security feels like a distant memory. How can you plan ahead when your housing is so fragile? Saving for a deposit? Impossible. Starting a family seems reckless. You feel trapped, stuck in place, working hard yet going backwards. The system feels rigged against you, a relentless uphill struggle.
The mental toll is immense, a constant gnawing anxiety, worrying about the next rent payment, fear of unexpected bills, a broken boiler, a medical cost. Sleep can be difficult to find, stress levels remain permanently high, relationships can suffer too. The strain is always there, a shadow over everything.
This financial squeeze means sacrifice, cutting back on daily essentials, less fruit, cheaper cuts of meat, turning the heating down or off, wearing more layers indoors. Social outings become a luxury, seeing friends, a rare treat, the joy squeezed from everyday life, all to keep a roof overhead, a roof that feels ever more costly.
Let us talk about the numbers, the figures that don't lie. Rent now consumes huge chunks of monthly pay, hard-earned cash. 30% was once the rule, now 40, 50, even 60. Wages have not kept pace, they have stagnated, fallen behind, leaving a widening, painful gap between income and basic shelter. Essential services are stretched thin. Communities are losing their vibrant mix of residents, becoming enclaves only for the wealthy. When housing becomes so expensive that it pushes out entire segments of the workforce, the city itself begins to falter. The fabric of community life starts to unravel.
What are the wider consequences for our cities? If teachers, care workers, and emergency service personnel cannot afford to live near where they work, what happens?
It's about the basic dignity of having a safe, affordable place to call home. It's a heavy burden to carry, this feeling of being perpetually on the edge, despite your best efforts.
There's a deep sense of injustice, a feeling of having done everything right, only to find that stable housing remains perpetually insecure.
The stress of it all is taking a toll. Her story is not unique.
Consider Sarah, a primary school teacher. She earns a fair salary, yet finding a flat that doesn't consume over half her income is an ongoing battle.
The unspoken promise that hard work leads to basic security feels increasingly broken.
We see teachers, nurses, and skilled workers, yet even with a respectable paycheck, affording a modest apartment is slipping out of reach.
This equation, for so many, no longer balances. Some families are forced into hidden homelessness, sofa surfing with relatives, trying to maintain a brave face while the ground constantly shifts. Providing a stable home, a cornerstone of responsible parenting, is becoming an almost Herculean task. The system seems to be actively working against the very families it should be supporting, creating a cycle of disadvantage.
The decisions that parents are forced to make are agonizing. Stretch finances to the limit to stay in a better area, or move to a cheaper, less safe location.
The rental trap casts a long shadow over childhoods, shaping futures.
Children thrive on stability. When their home life is under threat, it creates anxiety that they absorb from their parents.
Housing instability can have lasting effects on a child's development, education, and well-being. Meet the Sharma family. Finding a 3-bedroom house in an area with reasonable schools feels like an unattainable dream.
The need to provide for their children clashes directly with the brutal reality of housing costs.
For families, the search for a suitable home carries an extra layer of urgency. His story is a common one, repeated across the country. This early encounter with housing insecurity has significant long-term consequences. Students are graduating with ever larger mountains of debt, driven primarily by rent. This financial burden makes it incredibly difficult to save or even consider milestones like buying a property. The stress of their housing situation during university years can also impact mental health. Furthermore, the high cost of student accommodation can influence career choices and geographic mobility. The rental trap has the potential to shape the future workforce, limiting choices for those from less privileged backgrounds. The promise of education is weakened when a safe, affordable place to live is missing.
I'm Liam, a second-year engineering student. A significant majority of my income is swallowed by the rent for a tiny room in a poorly maintained house. There's this constant worry about making ends meet. My studies suffer. I'm often too tired to concentrate in lectures. Sometimes I wonder if the dream of a better future is being undermined by the crushing reality of housing costs.
But for many students today, that picture is a distant memory. The reality is increasingly one of intense financial pressure. Students are not immune to the rental crisis. In this market, choice for renters is often a cruel joke. Affordable options frequently come with compromises like severe disrepair or unsafe locations. The gap between wages and housing costs has vast and damaging societal implications, fueling inequality. The walls are closing in and the cost is becoming unbearable.
The cumulative effect is a constant state of financial fragility.
At the very heart of this crisis lies a stark, undeniable disconnect. The growing gap between wages and the cost of housing. The cost of other essentials has also been rising. It feels like being squeezed from all sides. Losing a rental isn't just losing a roof, it's losing your footing in the world.
For some, this is the start of a downward spiral, pushing them closer to the margins of society.
The financial burden is crushing finding deposits, paying moving costs, all while trying to keep life together. An eviction record can haunt future rental searches, and the emotional scars linger long after the move.
For tenants who did everything right, the sense of injustice is overwhelming. Powerless, they scramble to find a new place under immense stress.
The eviction notice arrives cold, impersonal, and devastating. Shock gives way to panic. How can this be happening?
For renters, security is fragile. Even those who pay on time can be evicted without cause, turning a home into a temporary shelter. Urban renewal often feels like social cleansing for those forced to leave.
For the elderly, it's a loss of independence and dignity.
The pain is deep, the void hard to fill.
For many, displacement means losing not just a home, but their sense of belonging and identity.
Gentrification accelerates this as rising rents push out long-term residents, erasing the community's history and diversity.
Children face new schools, lost friends, and constant upheaval. The elderly lose decades-old support networks and face isolation.
Displacement isn't just moving, it's being torn from your roots, your memories, your community. The journey from precarious tenancy to the street is swift and brutal. Homelessness is not a choice, but the result of systemic failure.
The system rarely catches people before they fall.
One crisis, a job loss, a rent hike, can push anyone over the edge.
Families hide their homelessness, fearing stigma and intervention, while children's health and education suffer.
Even people with jobs can't afford rent, living in vehicles and struggling to maintain normalcy.
Homelessness isn't always visible. Many sofa surf, live in cars, or bounce between temporary fixes, always insecure, always anxious. No one should face their final years in fear of losing their home.
For many elderly, the rental trap is a threat to their well-being and peace of mind.
Housing insecurity worsens health, disrupts care, and deepens anxiety.
Leaving a lifelong home means losing identity and dignity.
Downsizing isn't a real option. Affordable, accessible homes are scarce, and waiting lists are endless.
Margaret, 78, worked her whole life. Now her pension barely covers bills, and another rent hike threatens her home and memories.
Elderly renters on fixed incomes face impossible choices as rents rise: food, heat, or medicine. Grassroots efforts are the foundation for real, lasting change in the housing crisis.
They lobby, campaign, and build networks of solidarity, block by block.
Community groups offer advice, support, and a unified voice.
Rent strikes and tenants' unions emerge, leveraging solidarity to fight for repairs, fair rents, and security.
Collective action transforms private anxiety into public demand for fairness.
Demonstrations fill the streets, homes for people, not profit. Teachers, nurses, pensioners, everyone's affected.
People aren't passive, they're organizing, resisting, and demanding change.
Policy change is often slow, especially compared to the immediate needs of families facing eviction. Continued pressure from grassroots movements and ordinary citizens sharing their stories is vital. The search for systemic change is a marathon requiring persistence and advocacy.
Policymakers debate rent control, with proponents citing tenant protection and opponents warning of reduced investment. Discussions also address regulating short-term rentals like Airbnb.
Affordable housing developments are a frequently discussed solution, but the reality is complex. Definitions of affordable can be contentious, and the number of units often falls short.
Housing affordability appears on city council agendas, but these formal settings often feel distant from renters' struggles. The hope is that urgency on the streets translates into meaningful action within these chambers. The sight of people moving into these new kinds of homes hints at a possibility, a future where safe, affordable housing is within reach.
They offer a sense of hope, small beacons suggesting that with creativity and collaboration, we can build that future.
They represent something incredibly important: a refusal to accept the status quo, demonstrating that alternatives are possible.
These innovative solutions, whether tiny homes, community land trusts, or co-living initiatives, are not magic wands.
They often involve shared resources and a strong sense of collective ownership, challenging the isolation of traditional housing.
These models fundamentally decouple land value from the speculative market, creating a more stable environment for residents.
Tiny home communities are springing up, offering a tangible example of creative solutions.
Tiny homes can provide a secure living space at a fraction of the cost, emphasizing sustainable design.
These dwellings offer a pathway to homeownership for those locked out of the market.
It feels like a quiet effort to build something better from the ground up. We have walked a difficult path together now. Through the maze of the modern rental market, we have seen the hopeful faces in the queues, heard the quiet desperation in their stories, the endless scrolling on glowing screens, the anxiety that settles like a heavy fog, this daily search for a fundamental need, a place to simply call home, to feel secure. It has become a defining struggle for so many. Its echoes resonate deeply in our communities. The emotional burden, as we have learned, is profound. It is the constant gnawing weight of worry, the sight of a horizon that seems to shrink each day, the dread of the next rent demand landing on the mat, or the stark, formal letter announcing an eviction. This is about so much more than just money. It touches upon our human need for dignity, for the basic security that a true home should offer. The system often feels cold, almost indifferent, a relentless trap, difficult to escape. We have also seen how these are not isolated struggles. They are symptoms of something larger, more systemic. The stark widening gap between stagnant wages, and the ever-climbing cost of 4 walls and a roof. The way our cities transform, pushing people to the margins, teachers, nurses, families, students, the elderly, all caught in this complex, unforgiving web. These are not tales of individual failure, but indicators of a societal imbalance. An imbalance that quietly shapes countless lives. The stories shared throughout this journey are vital. They are not mere statistics, easily dismissed. They are the lived experiences of our neighbors, our colleagues, our friends, perhaps even ourselves. They speak of incredible resilience, it is true, but also of deep anxieties and profound uncertainties. Understanding this very human cost is paramount. It is the essential first step we must all take. Before we can truly build towards better solutions, we must acknowledge the depth of this quiet crisis. The relief on the faces tells a story of profound positive transformation. These successes illuminate the path ahead, showing what is possible with commitment.
Successful support programs offer crucial lifelines and safe, secure homes.
Every determined step moves us closer. These emerging solutions serve as a powerful reminder that the rental trap is not inescapable.
Sustained advocacy can lead to policies that genuinely protect vulnerable tenants.
They provide glimpses of a more humane approach where community and security are valued.
They are tangible working examples of innovation, offering real homes and a sense of hope.
It demonstrates a collective will for something better. Yet despair does not and must not have the final say. The stories remind us why this pursuit is so profoundly important.
It is an achievable goal worthy of our best efforts.
The ultimate aspiration is clear, a future where everyone has a secure, stable place to live.
Together, a powerful movement for change is built.
Every supportive action taken matters.
Challenging the stigma around housing insecurity.
Supporting the grassroots organizations on the front lines.
This understanding and empathy must then galvanize us to act.
Allows us to move towards real solutions.
Is it a fundamental human right essential for life?
Alongside empathy, a deeper understanding is required. It's about how we as a society value housing.